Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pitchside Podcast. I'm your host, the HOD of the BSB. Like, share, comment on this video, and subscribe to the channel. Importantly, enable notifications to receive all the updates from these match recaps and other content on the channel. Follow us on social media, BSB on Twitter, Pitchside Pod on Instagram, and you can listen to the podcast on Spotify, Google Podcast, or any other platform. And we're coming to you straight after the game between AS Roma and AC Milan at the Olimpico, and boy, needless to say, Milan needed the victory, and they did. The game looked, it's really entertaining, by the way. It's a joyous and really entertaining and all-around amazing game of football. If you didn't watch it, if you're a neutral football fan and didn't have anything to do on Sunday night and you didn't watch this game, you're missing a lot. It was a great game of football. It was back and forth, seesawing. Milan started the game pretty strong, of course, without Benassa and Mandzukic, still lacking a couple of, important players on the big scale of things, particularly Benassa. In that midfield, Roma with no Dzeko, no Zaniolo as well, and no Smalling. It was quite a makeshift formation from Roma at a certain point. Cristante pulled off the middle and put into a centre-half position, being the central of the three. This game looked pretty lopsided. It was played from the right side of the defence for both teams. Obviously, it looks like instructions were given for Karsdorp on the Roma side not to move forward a lot and to leave space for Theo Hernandez, and on the other side, Calabria do not move a lot forward as well, not leaving space for Spinazzola, who, both those guys, Spinazzola and Hernandez, I think were one of the best, or two of the best players in the game. Overall, a good start from Milan, a good half an hour, probably one of the best half an hours Milan has played in a long time, particularly the first 15 minutes. It was constant pressure, high pressing Roma, forcing them into a couple of mistakes that AC Milan didn't take advantage of. They missed a lot of chances, AC Milan. Like, in half an hour, they managed a number of chances they didn't have probably in the last couple of games, really. They had the crossbar, Pau Lopez was saving like 3 or 4 proper chances for Ibrahimovic and Rebic as well. There was a couple of opportunities that went wide. It was all sorts of pressure, and mostly again on that left-hand side, but had all the danger in it. Cassia supporting, Theo Hernandez, and of course, Rebic. Roma sat a little bit deep in the first 20 minutes or so, and then they started getting more offensive, as we mentioned, more on the side of Spinazzola, who pulled a lot of crosses in. Jordan Veretout was supporting, Mkhitaryan was dropping there, Borja Mayoral was trying to lean and pull defenders out, making runs, making space for runs in behind, and as you mentioned, the game was played in a lopsided way, although the teams were different in shape and in formation on paper, but pretty much the game management almost was the same in terms of the instruction given by the coach. The goal came from a penalty, of course, in the first half for AC Milan after checking VAR. The penalty was awarded, rightfully so, of course, for AC Milan. Franchesi slotted it in, 1-0 for Milan. Pretty deserved lead at the end of the first half, although Roma managed a couple of opportunities late on in the first half. They started the second half pretty strong, scoring early thanks to Jordan Veretout, again from that left-hand side, on which Spinazzola is there, setting up Veretout for a beautiful shot into the top corner of Gianluigi Donnarumma. Everybody thought, and I certainly thought, well, Roma are going to be back into this game. They're going to be trying to go a little bit more forward, and they did, but certainly they were caught on the counter. By the way, a pretty important event here to mention. Inside 10 minutes in the second half, Zlatan Ibrahimovic went down injured and was substituted by Rafael Leao, and that turned to be quite a good substitution, really, because first big contribution for Leao in the game was setting up Rebic for the second goal. Beautiful finish from the Croatian, who himself 10 minutes later went down injured and was substituted as well by Krunic. It was game management from AC Milan, but for some reason I don't understand why they went forward in the last 10 minutes or so. They went forward too much, left too much space behind for Roma. I don't know why Stefano Pioli would have, gone about the game like that. The players, some of them, or most of them, really looked exhausted. Franchesi and Tonali in particular. Theo Hernandez, probably the game gotten a little bit more tiresome for him with the introduction of Bruno Perez as well, who is, fresh legs, being more mobile down that right-hand side with the support of Karsdorp behind him. it was, it was unexplainable for Pioli why he would go that high, why he would leave space for Roma like that. They almost scored on a couple of occasions. Almost every time Milan are on the ball and going high, they leave like only 2 or 3 players max in the back. And Tomori, by the way, did a terrific job in clearing some of the mistakes really, and the the voids left by the left backs and the right backs. Donnarumma pulled some saves as well later on, and Roma just failed to equalise. As much as Paul Lopez was the hero in the first half, Donnarumma as well was a hero in the second half, and the defence of AC Milan in general were pretty, they put on a good shift late on to deny Roma the equaliser. So overall, it's an important win for AC Milan, certainly one that they needed to keep the gap, to keep the difference between them and Inter Milan at the top of the table, 4 points, give themselves just a little bit of a chance, although Inter Milan are not leaving any room for error at the moment. 3-0 against Genoa early on in the day, and AC Milan, needed the win to boost their morale after a couple of bad performances. For Roma, it's the first loss in 17 home games, which is saying something about how good they've been this season. They're still in 5th at the moment with 44 points. Maybe they will still fight for a Champions League spot. Obviously, they will obviously bounce back in the next couple of games. They had a decent second half, but the fact that they dropped too much in the first half, in the first half an hour in particular, probably was very costly for them. And the getting high up the pitch, almost suicidally in the second half for the second goal, and being caught on the counter was costly as well. They missed a lot of chances. They could have had a point, or maybe the 3 points as well, but in the end they lose all the points against AC Milan, deservedly, I think, in the grand scheme of things. Victorious, but also a couple of black points here in the game. Injury for Ibrahimovic, potential injury for Çalhanoğlu as well, I didn't mention that, who was substituted for Diaz in the interval between the breaks, and between the halves really at the break, and of course the injury for Rebic. They could lose all these 3 players for the next couple of games, which, looking at the current situation for AC Milan, just doesn't bode well for them. I was your boy, the HOD of the PSP. That's it for this review. Thanks for watching / listening. Like, share, comment on this video, subscribe to the channel, enable notifications to receive all the updates from the match recaps and other content on the channel. Hope, of course, we're going to get to you tomorrow on the podcast. You can listen to that on Spotify and Google Podcasts, Pitch Side Pod on Instagram, Side PSP on Twitter. Follow us there, and until next time, I'll see you soon. Goodbye.